Hey guys, welcome to Gaming Bat today, bringing you another video for our favorite weapon series here in Warzone. And today we're going to be covering the Kilo 141 or the HK433. Favorite weapon build, and mainly this is to use in Warzone, but again, I've covered this weapon in depth before in a couple of videos, which I'll link down below for both multiplayer and Warzone builds. But I went back to this one recently, mainly because of all the meta weapons of the game right now being the M4 and the Grau, or I believe the top two, as well as the M13 still being up there. I wanted to go back and revisit the Kilo because initially when Warzone started, I was mainly using this and I really love this weapon and I wanted to see how it really compares to some of the meta weapons today. And this thing definitely is one of the most underrated assault rifles in the game right now, especially when it comes to Warzone and multiplayer. So let's go ahead, I'll show you how to build this and then we'll jump into some gameplay. I have a really nice 15 kill win here for you at the end of the video that I'll show. Really nice, crazy end circle. I think we ended up getting like 6 or 7 kills in the final 2 circles. Very hectic and crazy end. But let's go ahead and back out and build this weapon. Get right into it. So again, here's the final design for the H&K 433 assault rifle. And again, this is the Kilo 141 in game. So what we'll do is back out and we will strip this thing down from scratch. And if you're looking at blueprints, I believe I have a few different blueprints here, being the Kilo, the base. We have the Kuroline blueprint, which came for the Nikto bundle. We have the battle-tested, the Berliner, which also a very nice looking blueprint. We have the Union Black, and then just one of my custom builds there as well. But we're going to be using the base Kilo 141 for this build, just because I like the all-black build of this weapon. So let's go ahead and jump into the Gunsmith here. And now to start off, we're going to actually put a monolithic suppressor on this. This is really optional if you're running solos or not, whether you want to be on the radar or not for the minimap when you're firing. But for this particular weapon, I'm going to run the monolithic suppressor again. You can swap this out for another attachment if you want. You don't necessarily need a muzzle attachment on weapons when you're running solos, but mainly if you're running in squads, you do if your whole squad is suppressed. But again, monolithic suppressor, this is going to assist with the sound suppression and damage at range. Cons here being the ADS speed and aim walking steadiness. And again, being that this is a suppressor, it's going to keep us off the minimap when we fire our weapons in Warzone. So go ahead and select that. Now for the barrel option, we're going to go with the Singard Arms 19.8-inch Prowler. This is the longest barrel attachment for this weapon. Again, another option is the 16.5-inch SOCOM or even the integral suppressor. But for this one, we're going to go with the Prowler. You have a couple different options, being the battle-tested blueprint and based on what other blueprints you have. But I'm going to go with the default for this. This barrel attachment is going to assist us with the pros here being the damage range, bullet velocity, and the recoil control. The cons being the ADS speed and the movement speed. So this will pair really nicely with our monolithic suppressor. Now, our third attachment is going to be a tactical laser. So the tactical laser is going to assist us with the ADS speed, aiming stability, and the aim walking steadiness. And the con, again, if you're ADSing, the laser will be visible to the enemy. But I've been actually revisiting this a lot, mainly for solos, but also in squad gameplay. This can really have a lot of advantages for your weapon, depending on what kind of weapon you're using. But specifically in solos, I always use this right now, just because it really assists when you have a weapon built out with all these attachments. It's really going to assist your ADS speed. So again, we'll go ahead and select this, and you can see the difference between the two blueprints that I have here for the TAC laser. One can be black, and then we have the one with the tan color. I'm going to go with the default, just because I like that mix of the color options there. Now, for our fourth attachment, it's going to be the optic. Now, my favorite attachment, if you've been paying attention to a lot of the Warzone builds, my favorite optic in Warzone to use is the Integral Hybrid, or the Leopold Hammer, as it's known as in real life. So this is going to assist us with the reflex and scout toggle and the zoom level, the con being the ADS speed, which we've made up for in the TAC laser attachment. But again, this is going to assist us. It has that 3.25 zoom optic there, as well as the top-mounted red dot sight. So it's going to allow us to be very versatile and engage targets at medium to longer range, as well as shorter range with that red dot mounted on top of the hammer sight. Go ahead and select that. Now again, we're going to go with just the base stock here. I'm going to skip out on the perks, as well as the rear grip and the ammunition. I'm leaving the base ammunition at 30 rounds because this particular gameplay is in solo. Now, if I were doing squads, I would definitely put it on a 60-round mag, or even perhaps a 50-round mag, just to help me have more magazine ammo capacity there to engage multiple targets. But in solos, we're typically engaging one target. So I'm going to opt for an underbarrel attachment, and for this one, I'm going to go with the Commando foregrip. This is going to assist us with the recoil control and the aiming stability, the con being the movement speed for the weapon. Now again, this is one of those attachments, one of the two, with the addition of the tactical foregrip, that is not going to negatively impact our ADS speed. But since we do have that tack laser on, it's really going to make up for anything that we put on. So another really good option here would be the Ranger foregrip, which is going to assist with the recoil control and the aiming stability. The only cons here, aim walking, movement speed, and the ADS speed, which again, since we have a tack laser on, shouldn't really impact us that much. But I really like the commando foregrip on a lot of my weapons just because we don't take that ADS speed negation, as well as I feel like it helps control the recoil enough on most of the assault rifles, but some obviously will opt for a Ranger depending on the build. So this is my final solo build for the Kilo 141 or the HK433 assault rifle. Now, if I were to, some other different options here, if I were to run this in squads, I would definitely put on a 60 round, perhaps either for the commando foregrip, or maybe I would even swap that out for the tack laser, depending. But since we do have that longer barrel on there, we don't necessarily need a foregrip, especially with the extra weight of the 60 round magazine. We may still want that increase to the ADS speed with that tack laser attachment. And then another option there is you could take out the tack laser and put on either the commando or the Ranger foregrip, and that would be a nice squads or trios build there as well. So that is the final design. Let's put these attachments right back on here. We'll go to the tack laser for the 60 round. And again, camo for this one, I typically leave it with just standard black, but you'll see what these camos look like on the base Kilo 141. Then it's going to be dependent on what kind of blueprint you use, how the camouflage affects the weapon. But for this weapon, I think it just looks very aesthetically pleasing with the base all black on the weapon, as well as we have that tan color tack laser there, which helps out really nice. And then for the reticle, for this one, I always go with this second one here, the second option for the Chevron Tactical. I like this one just because it's yellow. It's a little bit easier to see, especially versus this red one. I find it a little bit more difficult when I'm engaging targets to keep my reticle on sight with that. So I go with the Chevron Tactical. It's a nice bright yellow on both your zoomed optic here with the hammer sight as well as your red dot. Makes it very easy to engage targets at close range and a distance. And again, this is our final design for the HK433. And you can see how aesthetically pleasing that thing looks, especially with that tanned tack laser on the right-hand side of the weapon. So go ahead and jump into the gameplay here. Now, this, again, I said was a 15 kill dub that I ended up getting here. I believe this is my highest kill win that I've had so far in solos, as well as perhaps even trios and quads. A really crazy game here. I didn't die once at all, even though this was stimulus solos. So typically, I think the most part of the match I had enough money to be able to come back if I were to die, but I didn't actually die at all this game. I played it really well, got into some really insane engagements right off the bat, as well as in the end match there, I ended up getting into some crazy engagements with, I believe, about 3 or 4 enemies right there where I was in the final circle. So I navigated the circle really well. And again, the Kilo 141 or the HK433 really handles well. As I said, I revisited this mainly because a lot of the meta weapons right now that you see, typically when you die in Warzone, are going to be either the Grau 5.56 or the M4 or maybe even the M13, which I don't really see the M13 as much right now. I mainly see the M4s and the Grau 5.56, which can get pretty annoying when you're just dying to the same weapon over and over and over when you do die. So I'm somebody that doesn't like to use meta weapons very much. I typically am trying to build very tactical, realistic type weapons and using underrated weapons that a lot of people aren't using. And I really don't see the Kilo being used that much anymore. I did see it right in the beginning of the game a little bit, but it really never get killed by this Kilo 141 anymore. And as I said, I revisited this from when I first started using it in the beginning of Warzone, and I wanted to come back to it to see how it held up now to some of the other weapons that are meta. And this thing, as I said, handles really well. It drops targets very quick, has a very high rate of fire. The damage is right on target, slightly below the M4, but again, the rate of fire is right there. I think it is very comparable to the M4A1, especially with these attachments. We have that longer barrel on there to help mitigate the recoil as much as possible, as well as the tactical foregrip that we have, or the commando foregrip that we have on the weapon. And again, just all the attachments really go together to holistically build a really nice medium to longer range assault rifle, as well as we can engage at close quarters, which you'll see me do, especially in the final circle here with that Leopold hammer sight, with that top mounted red dot sight. So definitely good situational awareness with this build. You can engage targets at any distance for the most part. And like I said, this thing just handles really well. Very fast rate of fire. The only problem here is sometimes with that 30 round magazine may not be enough depending on your accuracy or even the range that you're engaging at. I find myself a couple times having to reload, and you'll see it in the end circle. I get in a situation where I had to reload, and it did almost get me killed, but luckily I got pretty lucky, and the guy jumped out of the area and was looking the opposite way from where I was, and I was able to finish my reload animation and kill him. So definitely the fast rate of fire. Just be careful as to where you're aiming. Try and get shots on target. Again, with the fast rate of fire, we're able to mitigate the recoil pretty well with all these attachments. So let me know what you guys think of the Kilo 141 or the HK433 as it's known in real life down in the comments below. Have you used this one in Warzone or multiplayer? Again, this has been one of my favorite weapons in the game since the start. This is the very first assault rifle that you get in the game, and I still think it is one of the most underrated weapons, not just assault rifles, but weapons in the game, because I feel like everybody levels up and gets the M4 and the M13 and obviously the Grau 5.56 and overlooks this weapon just because it's the base one, but it really does handle just on par with the M4, I think, and it's a very underrated weapon in this game, and this gameplay I think proves it. Since I've been using this the past couple days, revisiting it and using it in Warzone, I've had all high kill games with this thing, just a matter of closing it out for the win, which we end up doing here. But just some real life weapon history. Again, this is by Heckler Koch. This is the HK43 set to phase out and replace the G36 for the German Army, I believe starting here in 2020, so it should be rolling out, replacing the G36s here pretty soon. It's actually a very unique weapon. I know a lot of people are asking for the HK416 into the game because they want to see that one, and that actually may still happen here in Season 4 based on the conversions that we get for some of the weapons. So I'll make a future video on that, but the HK433 is actually a combination of the G36 and the HK416. So basically what they did is they took the best parts of both of those weapons that they produce and combine them to make the HK433. So some different options here I would like to see actually going forward into the following seasons, being Season 4, 5, and beyond. I'd really like to see some different ammo attachments to this. And we have the larger magazines being the base 30, we have the 50, as well as the 60. I'd also really like to see something like a 7.62x51 attachment to turn this into the HK231, which is a planned variation. I'd also like to see the 300 blackout rounds to make the HK437, or maybe even something like the 7.62x39 to make the HK123. So again, I think either option here being either 7.62 or the 300 blackout rounds would be a really nice addition to this game, so we can make a different variation. Now in real life, the rate of fire of this thing is 700 rounds per minute. Standard is the 30 round detachable box mag, which we see here. And the iron sights on this weapon in game are actually very nice, very clear. You can engage at pretty good range with just the iron sights if you really prefer those. But again, this rifle is hands down one of my favorites. Let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know down below in the comment section what attachments you prefer to run on this build and how you like to run it in multiplayer as well as in Warzone. Also, let me know what your favorite weapon is to use in multiplayer and in Warzone. For Warzone, I'm typically somebody that is running mainly assault rifles. However, I really do like, and I've had a couple really clutch wins using the Mark 9 Bruin or the M249 Saw, which I have done a couple of videos on, and I'll be doing some more in the future just because that thing does come in very clutch. I have a really nice setup for it, which I haven't covered quite yet, which has won me a couple games in Warzone in clutch situations coming back at the end of the game with very little ammo. So I'll be covering that in the future, but let me know down below what your favorite Warzone loadout is, what your favorite assault rifle and overall weapon is for Warzone, as well as multiplayer. And then, again, stay tuned for Season 4 information. Again, we did have some leaked weapons coming out, those being the Vector, the Galil, which we'll probably see as the more modernized variation, being the Ace, which if you played Battlefield 4, you're familiar with that weapon. They had a couple different variations of the Ace there. They had an assault rifle variant, as well as two different SMG variants, one being in 7.62, which I think all three of those weapons in the game were really nice. I'd really like to see the modernized Galil being the Ace instead of the old school Galil, which we are used to from the Black Ops series. I think we've had enough. I don't really want to see any more older weapons added to the game. I want to see the modern variations added in. I think if they added a old Galil into the game, it would be pretty disappointing. I'd like to see the modernized version being the Ace and maybe have a blueprint to make it into the old school Galil if that's what people want to run. But we have those two coming, being the Vector and the Galil, hopefully the Ace. We also have the H&K G38, which if we get the right attachments, this one I think has the most possibilities of any weapon in the game so far. If they give us the right attachments for conversions, we'll be able to essentially make hopefully the HK417, the HK416 with the 5.56 ammo conversion. They could do a specific barrel on that as well that pairs with the ammo, and you're locked in that. And then you could also do a M27 IAR out of all those weapons. So again, just with the one weapon being the HK G28, we can make essentially 2 to 3 weapons across various classes. We could go from a marksman rifle to an assault rifle to a light machine gun. So I think that would be really awesome. Hopefully they give us the right attachments for that to make all those weapons. I think that weapon alone, the G28, offers the most possibilities in the game for weapon conversions out of anything added in the game or that came with the base game. So let me know down below what weapons you want to see also added into Season 4, 5, and 6, and also different blueprints that you want to see coming. I think we have the Season 3 refresh coming in here next week, so hopefully we'll be getting that security detail bundle, and I'll be covering that. I've been checking the shop every day for that. But go ahead and let me know down below. I'm going to leave you guys with the gameplay, and until next time, Buffner Gaming, out.